you can get approved for the loan instantaneously, not because of your credit score, not because of your other assets under management or your personal financial statement, but because you own Bitcoin and you own X amount of Bitcoin. And they literally are just looking at how much Bitcoin on the open ledger is assigned to you and your private key and your ownership. And that's what they're loaning against, period, end of story. And so it's all done in a decentralized manner. There's no underwriters, there's no desks, there's no cubicles, there's no bureaucratic red tape. It's just instantaneous because it's all done on the blockchain. And that's the key for everybody to understand, is that this blockchain technology is what's going to make things faster, better, and easier.
Today's podcast is with Josh Rhodes of Crypto Y'all, discussing the cryptocurrency markets, an emerging financial market for investors to consider, and how it can be leveraged into commercial real estate investing. As this market continues to develop, I thought it was timely to have this interview to discuss how cryptocurrency and the established commercial real estate market can intersect, and specifically for this audience, investing specifically in healthcare properties. And after speaking to Josh, we learned you can use assets in the cryptocurrency markets with lenders in these markets that offer investment property loans. Josh, welcome to the Providers, Properties, and Performance podcast.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
So I like to start with, your background and, your company. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Josh Rhodes. My brand is called Crypto Y'all. I'm from Alabama. We have a particular vernacular here, like much of the Southern United States. But the idea behind it is I grew up in a Southern hospitality environment, and I just looked up one day and I was like, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner, a real estate investor. I really love crypto. I'm like geek squad crypto. But there's a lot of scammy stuff out there, just like there is in any business sector. And I thought, man, what would it be like to have this warm, hospitable, trustworthy brand in the crypto space, the greatest financial technology in history? Man, I want to merge those two things. And so that's where Crypto Y'all came from. And I'm having a good time helping a handful of investors every month walk through their cryptocurrency wealth building journey.
Well, I was interested how you came up with that name because, typically I would have thought that you were super young but you are in, I would say, a mid-careerist. And so I was like, I've got to find out why he chose this name.
Yeah.
So, as I mentioned, before we started, I'm really curious, for you to share with me and the audience and how you use the crypto markets in commercial real estate, specifically where my audience focuses on in healthcare real estate. So why don't we start with the basics? Because I'm sure, everyone's heard Bitcoin and, and all of this stuff, but why don't you start from the beginning and tell us what exactly this market is and what's involved?
You're referring just to cryptocurrency as a market, correct?
Yeah. Start with the market, describing the market of cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I think it's important for everyone, if you're starting kind of at ground zero of understanding here, is that we're moving into a place in our culture and our time and our society where money and the technology of money is basically a technology, no matter how primitive the way it manifests itself. And so whether you think about money in terms of US dollars, Canadian dollars, government fiat, gold, precious metals, however you view it, cryptocurrency, with the technology of cryptography and with obviously the advent of the internet, et cetera, is challenging the status quo on how we not only exchange value between peers, but also store value. And so that's where you get a lot of the talk tracks and the narratives around Bitcoin, for example, being kind of it's the largest market cap. It's kind of the granddaddy of them all. But the thing that I would say that your listeners need to understand the most as physicians and medical practice owners and commercial real estate investors is that the market of cryptocurrency as a whole is basically it's the sixth emerging asset class. Traditionally we have real estate, government bonds, equities, businesses, and insurance, right, as our asset classes. And so now we've got this emerging asset class that has a $3 trillion market cap. Depending on when you look at the charts, gold has a $10 trillion market cap. So by 2030, we think Bitcoin by itself will have a $10 trillion market cap just because of Metcalfe's law of adoption, kind of the rate we're on right now. It's being adopted at a faster rate than mobile phone technologies and the internet. So it's something you can't ignore. And it's happening under our feet. And if you're an opportunist, you're going to make the most of it.
Interesting. And so, how does cryptocurrency fit in an investment portfolio in general, and then in a property investment portfolio specifically?
Well, an investment portfolio is subjective to the outcome that the investor wants to have. So I would hesitate to say that every single investment portfolio on the planet needs, a vast exposure to crypto. However, as we are, talking now, crypto is probably, if you were a professional trader, you would view it as a speculative asset or a speculative investment. And that as market cap increases, the less speculative it will become and the more public adoption that happens. I think 16 to 20% of Americans own a cryptocurrency currently. So it's actually like, even though every other Super Bowl commercial this year was a crypto commercial, there's a lot of people yet to adopt it in the United States, at least, let alone the rest of the world. So, depending on what your outcomes are and your desired outcomes in your time horizons, I would increase your exposure to at minimum Bitcoin and Ethereum. If you're looking for something that will give you a store of value and help your cash, especially if you're one of those people that just keeps a ton of cash sitting in a bank account. I mean, it's rotting in the closet with the moths of inflation, and it's getting holes eaten in it. It's losing 15 to 20% of its buying power. So Bitcoin, 148% on average, I think, since the advent of Bitcoin, since it was launched 13 years ago. It's a better year-over-year store of value than just cash sitting in your bank account. And I do that for my business too, or businesses, not just a personal investment portfolio. So that's kind of a roundabout answer, I think, to your question.
Yeah, but how I want to start down the path of how we use it as property in a property investment portfolio.
Oh, yeah.
So let's say a young physician is saving and investing. So time horizon's pretty high. And that in his investment portfolio, he has some investments in Bitcoin, but then this physician, starts to get a little more seasoned in his or her career, and they want to purchase a property and open a private practice. So how would he use cryptocurrency to do this?
So it's pretty simple, honestly. I would love to say that it's this complex, enigma rubric that you need to pay me to hear about, but this is really pretty simple. Because it's an emerging asset class, and because the characteristics of it is that of a property, it has value in the way a piece of real estate has value, or a whole life insurance or a universal whole life insurance policy might have value. You can use it as collateral, the cash value of the property or of the Bitcoin, for example. You can use it as collateral to take a loan to buy more cash flowing assets. Like obviously you can be very unwise with that and buy a new car and whatever, something depreciative. But in this case, in your scenario that you're talking about, there are plenty of lenders, typically in the form of a centralized exchange online, where you can buy Bitcoin, you can buy Ethereum, you can sell, various altcoins and hold your stuff there, your crypto there. But they'll also give you the opportunity to borrow against it. And I've had that experience. The beautiful part about it is, and this is a great example of how times are a changing, because I don't know all the ins and the outs on how you teach financing for commercial real estate, but, typically you're talking about a multi-week underwriting process. You're talking about sourcing deals and, real estate's awesome. Don't get me wrong. I love real estate. I'm in real estate, but it's accessibility, like just getting into a deal or getting a deal done. It's not fast, and I think as we get older and as time and technology innovates, time becomes faster. Our pace of life is faster and faster and faster. And so now even the lending industry, especially being underwritten and collateralized by cryptos, primarily the blue chips like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stable coins. Stable coins simply they're pegged to the US dollar. So it's like a digital dollar. You can get approved for a loan against, 35%, 50%, 75% loan to value, get liquidity, not lose your asset called Bitcoin, and go buy another asset, and obviously be a good manager, pay off the loan. Now you own two assets, because the wealthy never sell their assets, right? They borrow against them. And so a lot of the people listening who use whole life insurance that way, or use other, maybe you do a cash out refi on a commercial property, or you take out a line of credit on your personal residence, whatever, same stuff, same mechanics, maybe a slightly higher interest rate here and there, but it's getting competitive. In the next 3 years, I see interest rates on these loans that I'm talking about against crypto being right in par with where we are with 30-year fixed mortgages. So it's a pretty awesome utility. I use it right now as we speak.
Interesting. And then you had mentioned that you can stake crypto now and become your own lender. Is that sort of what you're also talking about, is you have this asset that you can take to lenders and borrow against, or is it something else?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately it's the idea of leverage, right? And so if you own an asset, you can leverage that asset. And in the case of crypto, the reason I think the one thing I skimmed over, I think, is you can get approved for the loan instantaneously, not because of your credit score, not because of your other assets under management or your personal financial statement, but because you own Bitcoin and you own X amount of Bitcoin. And they literally are just looking at how much Bitcoin on the open ledger is assigned to you and your private key and your ownership. And that's what they're loaning against, period, end of story. And so it's all done in a decentralized manner. There's no underwriters, there's no desks, there's no cubicles, there's no bureaucratic red tape. It's just instantaneous because it's all done on the blockchain. And that's the key for everybody to understand, is that this blockchain technology is what's going to make things faster, better, and easier. And so in that case, or in that example, to your staking question, yeah, like the idea around decentralized finance, which is a genre of cryptocurrency, is to become bankless. Some of the folks listening to this might remember when you could get 3%, maybe 5% in your checking account on your deposits 100 years ago. But that was an APY. And I remember I think I had at best a 3.3% interest rate on a checking account one time. And I just thought I was the smartest investor on the planet, letting my cash sit there. But now, because of algorithms being better, smarter, faster, I can make $1,000 deposit and be earning 1% a day on my capital. And that compounding, and Einstein said it best, the eighth wonder of the world is compound interest. And so these blockchain currencies now are able to be more efficient investors than we can, algorithmically speaking, and they can just make better use of your dollar than sitting in a bank account.
And so if someone wants to get started in Bitcoin and they have never done it before, do they go through somebody like you?
No, I think it depends on how aggressive or how how deep into the water you want to get. If you want to create passive income, if you want to learn the ropes and get deeper into it and make it a substantial part of your life, yeah, yeah, engage with crypto y'all. I would love to have you. But if you've never invested in crypto before, my biggest encouragement would be to just get some exposure to Bitcoin and Ethereum, and let just make an investment. Open a central exchange account like Coinbase, Gemini, Binance. The list goes on. There's plenty of trustworthy central exchanges, and just get some exposure and watch the assets go up and down. You'll note that the market's very volatile because of the market caps not being as big as traditional equity markets. But once you get those training wheels off, once you see how valuable Ethereum, Bitcoin, and all of their cousins in the crypto space are, especially from a utility standpoint, the more you watch governments print money, the more you see centralized banks take advantage of us on Main Street, the more you're going to appreciate what your investment in that little exposure to Bitcoin and Ethereum is, and you're going to want to get into it more. Not from a gambling standpoint. I don't teach crypto slot machine stuff. I teach sophisticated investing, and you're early still. Like, you're just early. It's so early. Some people think, man, I missed out on Bitcoin, but you haven't. You have not missed out. 10 years ago, 11 years ago, Bitcoin was worth $2.70. You could have bought plenty then. I think it was October of 2011. It was worth $2.70. Now we're, above $40,000 of Bitcoin. And as Bitcoin goes, so goes the rest of the market. It kind of acts like the canary in the coal mine for the rest of the market. So when it goes up or when it goes down, it's actually really easy to be a crypto investor right now, because you only have to watch one asset, and that's Bitcoin, and you can sell high and buy low.
And I have not started on the venture of cryptocurrency, but do you go into, there's cryptocurrency exchanges, just like, Fidelity and E-Trade for the traditional stock market. You go in there, you open an account, and you deposit whatever you want, and then it exchange into, and then does it have various cryptocurrencies you can choose from?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, depending on the exchange, they get to list whatever they want to list in terms of what they're willing to put in front of their clients. But yeah, it's literally like opening an equity trading account, like you said, and it's that simple. And the central exchanges they get paid their fees for allowing us common folk to trade our degrading fiat currencies for accretive cryptocurrencies. That's the name of the game.
So what do these cryptocurrencies invest in to increase their value?
There's now indexed hundreds of thousands of cryptocurrencies potentially. There's a pantheon of them and they all have various purposes and existences, just like any other business sector or industries have various verticals and niches in them. What you're looking for, and one thing I would definitely make sure everyone listening knows, is that you've got Bitcoin and everything else. So Bitcoin is a zoo animal species of its own. It's the largest computer network on the planet. It's a peer-to-peer network. And that's where people get confused at first, because they try to think of it as a currency, which is fine, because that's kind of what culture is wanting you to do. But it's really a network. And so it has a currency that manifests or acts as the token of value or merit based on your activity on the network, but it's different. And then you've got Ethereum and all of its step brothers and sisters in the altcoin galaxy, and they are doing all kinds of things. Like, Ethereum's famous for being programmable money, whereas Bitcoin's really more like the digital gold or the store of value. Ethereum acts like the platform that everyone else builds their cryptos on top of. And then you have other competitors against Ethereum that are called layer ones, like Avalanche or Solana or Phantom, and all these different networks. And it's literally like in my head, and this may be oversimplistic, and any of the crypto geeks listening to this will throw rocks at me, but I think about like the railroad system or the cell phone towers that we use. Like if you've got an AT&T iPhone, it won't work on the Verizon network, So there's these different networks like Avalanche and Ethereum and Solana and Binance Smart Chain, and all those networks provide the platform or the railroad system that all the other crypto trains are running on. It's kind of like Ruby on Rails type language when you're talking about building software and websites and stuff like that. Or like think Amazon Web Services, like we all host our websites through AWS, and it's like, oh, well, Ethereum is like the AWS of crypto. And so there's this utility that they're bringing that has value. And the adoption is what's bringing value to most of them, not their exposure or investment portfolio exposure to other parts of the world. Does that make sense?
It does. And how'd you get into cryptocurrency? I mean, you're obviously passionate about it. So did you just start reading? Were you like, what is this? And start educating yourself?
Just like everybody else. I saw a FOMO headline 5 years ago that said that I felt like I was missing out, and I just bought some Bitcoin and Ethereum. I wish I had a more fairy tale story, but I grew up playing video games. I came from the 80s where Legend of Zelda and Mario Brothers was born. And once I started realizing that I bought Bitcoin and Ethereum just to get in the game. And then a few years later, they start developing cryptocurrency games where you can play to earn cryptocurrency. And I thought, oh, wait, hang on a second. And that really hooked me just from an interest level. And then I started going, oh, wait, hang on a second. It's not just video games. It's literally everything else. Like there's entire networks of crypto that are happening right now. I'll give you a great example. There's one called Helium. A lot of your listeners probably heard of it. HNT is the ticker symbol. You literally can buy these Helium miners. They're like little Wi-Fi routers that you can put in your windowsill. And it's this massive network. They're like $500 a piece. And if you have one, they'll mine Helium coin and reward you for literally just using your power. It costs like a quarter, 25 cents of your energy a month to have it plugged into the wall, stick and have exposure through the window or on your roof or something. And it's literally, you've heard of Bitcoin mining. Well, there's a lot of mining happening, but this particular network is creating this decentralized network of retail consumer waypoints where it's for the Internet of Things. So like trackers, like on your dog collar, you don't want to lose your dog. Or you got the little tile for your wallet or your keys. So like, think about the network of things or the Internet of Things. All these networks are being built like Helium, where we can all track stuff. Or like, think about Amazon packages in the warehouse and how they know where everything is. That's coming to the world. And as a Helium miner, you get rewarded in Helium, and Helium right now is worth $15 a coin. So, you can do the math. If you earn 300 Helium a quarter, you're getting paid just for letting, a little Wi-Fi device sit in your window. My point of saying that is the next thing they're going to do with that particular network is rent to Verizon and AT&T and T-Mobile and Sprint bandwidth on their Wi-Fi, on their 5G network, with all these miners, and all these miners are going to get paid by AT&T and T-Mobile percentages, and it's going to be crazy. So like all that utility that's coming down the pike is what people need to be ready for and be willing to participate in, because that's the future.
Interesting. So you have to, when you purchase this cryptocurrency, then you go and invest in certain things that they list.
Yeah. So let's say a lot of times, especially in the decentralized finance world, you could buy some Bitcoin on your Coinbase account and just ride the price action. You might buy it at 40,000 and it goes to 80,000. Great. You've doubled your money. Okay. Or you can buy it and take it to a decentralized exchange of some sort, or a decentralized application or protocol, and you can stake it. You can put your crypto money, whether it be Bitcoin or stable coin or another native token of a particular crypto project, And that's where you start earning the additional APR or the APY on top of the price action. So you've got negative and positive price action, but you also might earn 102,000% a year APY on top of that in the native token of, the project that you're staked in. So it's so dynamic now. The theater of options is through the roof. I mean, you can literally earn a full-time income just by, I'll give you a great example. In January 2nd, I made an investment of like $2,000 on a speculative new project that I was interested in. I did all my research. I did my study. I did my checklist, all the stuff that I teach my cohort students. I got in. That $2,000 now 4 months later is worth $18,000. Okay, that's nice. That's cool. 9X so far. But the real fun part is that it's paying me $347 a day in income. That's way more than any of my rental properties are paying. And so you can kind of see like if the future moves this way, like I don't know if you've ever read the book or seen the movie Ready Player One, like you can kind of see like in almost like in an eerie way, we've got this algorithmic money thing happening, we're leaving the industrial age, and the ability to create income passively is becoming easier and easier. And the ability to use collateral has never been easier.
And so just wrapping up this part of the interview, and then we'll go into Q&A. So my listeners, they could start investing in this as an investment, accumulate some wealth. And then if they wanted to, you could always get out of it and use some cash, or go to lenders that specifically would lend against cryptocurrency value. Interesting.
Yeah, 100%.
Interesting. And the taxation, same as anything else for long-term and short-term capital gains?
Short-term, in the US, it's short-term and long-term capital gains exposure is what it is.
Right. Okay. All right. So we're going to go to the Q&A section. So what was your first job?
First job, I grew up in Northwest Alabama. My dad was a lumber salesman, and he started a furniture shop. And I ran the drill press for 8 hours a day, drilling holes into the bows or the backs of chairs so that you can put the little, dowel rods in the back so that you can actually lean up against the chair.
Do you miss it?
It was special. I almost cut my finger off one day, but we won't go into that.
So what do you think, what else would you be doing for a living other than doing this cryptocurrency stuff?
Well, I own a real estate marketing agency for residential real estate agents. I have a real estate portfolio, and I'm an investor in an e-commerce fund, and also in a tech-enabled service that recovers payments for subscription-based revenue businesses. So I've got some irons in the fire, but man, I really like. If I just am really transparent, the reason why I started Crypto Y'all as a brand, and I started doing my cohorts, I do like 15 people a month. I'll walk tightly through a 4-week session with them, showing them the ropes on passive income with crypto and everything else, leverage, yada, yada. But the thing that happened was everybody kept asking me, hey, how do I get into crypto? How do I get into crypto? And I love LinkedIn. I have a great LinkedIn family. And if you ever want to connect with me, find me on LinkedIn. But people are just like, dude, how do I do this? And I thought, man, I'm doing this all day long, every day. I've got a research assistant. I've got people that are like, I run my own fund. Like I geek out on this stuff. Like I'm trading purple unicorn NFTs. Like I'm trading cryptocurrencies. And I thought, I'll just make a brand. I'm an entrepreneur. I might as well. Let's just make a brand. And so Crypto Y'all came to be, and that's where we are now.
Well, it sounds like you're having a ton of fun with it.
Oh, I love it.
Who are you listening to right now for news, information, or inspiration?
News, information, and inspiration. In terms of mediums, I ironically, I love the Joe Rogan show from a podcast standpoint. And then I'm a huge YouTube guy. So I've got a YouTube channel. I'm almost egotistical about the way I've organized my YouTube subscriptions, and I'm very protective of it. But I go through probably 30 to 50 different subscriptions on a rotation on my YouTube channel. Anytime I'm walking, anytime I'm driving, any downtime, I'm listening to folks, especially in the crypto world, like Michael Saylor. He's a Bitcoin maximalist. He owns like 125,000 Bitcoin. Raoul Paul is an ex-hedge fund, Goldman Sachs guy turned Ethereum maximalist and Bitcoin guy. And the list goes on, but I'm kind of always, I'm afraid I'm going to burn myself out in the crypto world, but I haven't yet. So I go deep and fast into those subscriptions.
It sounds like you could find something interesting to invest in, no matter what your interest is, or to keep
it's true. Yeah.
To keep you entertained.
Absolutely.
What is one thing you do every day for healthy self-care?
I love going for walks. I think that's an underrated form of exercise and mental clarity. 100%.
Yeah, I'd agree. Are leaders born or trained?
I think everyone can lead. I think the form or the format in which they lead is behavioral and can be learned, but you can lead from the middle of the pack as effectively as you can from the front. So yeah, I think they're born.
I like that. Well, thank you, Josh. This has been a great interview. It's definitely different. So it'd be interesting if my readers or listeners, catch on to it or what their feedback is.
Yeah, hopefully they won't show up at the front door with torches and pitchforks.
Well, so it depends. I mean, some people are super entrepreneurial and they'll try anything once type of thing and test it out. But there are some people that are late adopters of technology and new investments and
sure.
Just sort of shy away from anything they don't understand. But I do agree. I mean, I hear it more and more. At first, I was probably one of those people to be like, oh, Bitcoin, that's just something that, the people do. And, a lot of tech people, that are interested in that will take it on. But I've heard it more and more mainstream and it be part of my, the people in my world who I, look up to and respect have started to get into it. And so it's definitely a curiosity, which is why, I wanted to do this interview to be able to share more information of how it can actually be used in an investment portfolio, and so it just becomes an asset class.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
So, well, thank you. Hope you have a great day.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.